Hello, fellow adventurers. Jayk Gallagher here with another bit of lo-fi high fantasy. And tonight we're going to be breaking breaking buckler, breaking buckler, breaking buckler. We're going to be breaking buckler. What the hell am I talking about? Swashbuckler. I want to break Swashbuckler, like that's possible, like I'm going to do that. But what I want to do is make Rogue playable. Why is Rogue not playable? I am tempted to say that Rogue is the worst class. Many people say that Monk is the worst class. I don't think so. Many people say that Ranger is the worst class. I don't think so. Have you seen Gloomstalker? Have you seen Swarmkeeper? Have you seen your mother? And Monk, Mercy Monk, come on, it's awesome. But Rogue, they just have no DPR. They do not do damage. Rogues, what's going on, Rogues? And what's going on in the 2024 Players Handbook with Rogues? They're not making them any better. They're not improving the Rogues. I mean, what are we going to do about it? Optimize, obviously. So one of the major problems with rogues is that they only attack once per turn. So some people think that the sneak attack bonus is going to make up for the fact that they only attack once per turn, but it doesn't. It doesn't even get close to making up for that. And some people think that giving them a booming blade, no, giving them booming blade on their one hit is going to make up for it. It does not. It does not make up for the one hit per turn. And some people think that if you just put 5 classes of fighter into it, that it'll get extra attack and then it'll be doing more damage. But then is it a rogue? Is it a rogue if you only take 3 levels of rogue? Is it a rogue if you're not trying to do sneak attack damage? I don't know. For me, my optimization choices need to be guided by my character creation choices and what kind of character I'm interested in playing. And for one thing, I want to be a little bit original. I want to choose things that other people are not choosing. And that's hard to do when everybody already knows what the most optimal choices are. So how are we going to choose something that not everybody is choosing, make it mostly a rogue, and make it do a ton of damage per round? That's pretty hard. But today we're going to be breaking buckler. Now, why am I talking about bucklers in particular? Why am I talking about bucklers? Because I like swashbuckler. And if I'm gonna optimize swashbuckler, it's gonna be a melee character because the whole point of swashbuckler is doing melee damage. You see, one way that you can get a lot of damage in on one attack is with Great Weapon Master, but great weapons, heavy weapons, don't work with sneak attack. So then, similar to Great Weapon Master is Sharpshooter. You could totally take Sharpshooter with a rogue, but you can't do it with Swashbuckler. I think the most optimized build there, the highest damage per round that we could do is with a Phantom Rogue with Sharpshooter using whales from the grave. This is grave. They're like whales from the grave, dealing tons of extra damage. That's the most optimized one, and I will show you a spreadsheet that proves that point. But you know what? I want to optimize Swashbuckler. I want to, and now ask me a question. Why? Why do I want to optimize Swashbuckler? Why would I ever want to do that? I mean, we do have, oh, come on, man. Where are my pictures of handsome swashbucklers? Look at this guy. This is a swashbuckler. Does does that look like a phantom rogue that took the sharpshooter feat? I don't think so. Look at this guy. Does that look like a phantom rogue who took the sharpshooter feat? No, that looks like some weird amalgam of Jean-Claude Van Damme and your neighbor's Rottweiler. But like this guy's cool. And he certainly didn't take the sharpshooter feat. He's going in there with a razor sharp rapier and he's stabbing people up and he's slick. Who are some of the coolest swashbucklers of all time? Han Solo. When I think swashbuckler and smuggler, I think Han Solo. And Han Solo didn't even use a rapier, he used a blaster. Think about Inigo Montoya. Don't you want to play Inigo Montoya? Inigo Montoya is a swashbuckler. Am I right? I am. So I want to optimize Swashbuckler because it's fun and because it has cool elements to it. Number one, it's got what is basically a built-in mobile feat. During your turn, if you make a melee attack against a creature, the creature can't make opportunity attacks against you for the rest of the turn. So you run up to somebody, you stab them in the face, and then you step away from them again. Isn't that wonderful? Doesn't that sound fun? But even better, it's actually Swashbuckler's got something built into it that I think beats all of the other rogue subclasses. You don't need advantage on the attack roll to use your sneak attack against a creature if you are within 5 feet of it. So basically, if you're a swashbuckler rogue, you can stand next to somebody and stab them, and you'll automatically get sneak attack. Now, I still want advantage, and I'll get to why we're gonna how we're gonna accomplish that advantage. But what an incredible advantage, not capitalized, not proper noun. What an incredible advantage to have as a rogue that you can just make your sneak attack pop off by standing next to somebody when you're by yourself and poking them, and you'll get the sneak attack damage. That's very fun. Now, the problem is that sneak attack does not scale in any way fast enough to keep up with fighters and paladins and other barbarians with extra attack that are getting to attack twice in a turn, perhaps even with great weapon master. You just aren't getting it. So maybe we need a couple levels of fighter, a level or two of fighter. I mean, I will show you in a little bit exactly why we need levels of fighter. But what I don't want to do is take 5 levels of fighter. I don't want to be 5 levels of fighter and 3 levels of rogue and trying to call that thing a rogue. I want to be a freaking rogue. And there are many reasons to be a rogue. Let me show you some of the cool, fun reasons to be a rogue. Okay? Expertise, 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 expertise. Evasion. You don't get evasion until 7th level. But if you pass your dex save, you don't take any damage. If you fail a dex save, you take half damage. And if you pass it, you take none. So fireball, you don't care anymore about fireball. When you are subjected to an effect that allows you to make a dexterity saving throw to only take half damage. I just used this the other day when I was falling. I jumped 400 feet down a ladder and I tried to Misty Step. And the DM said, make a dex save. And I failed the dex save. And guess what? Evasion. I didn't take any damage. I was playing a monk. I was sitting on top of a dragon. I was punching the dragon in the head as a monk because monks have evasion too. The dragon tried to use its wing attack against me. And I saved against it. I didn't take half damage. I took 0 damage. So don't you want that? Don't you want that for your rogue? Don't you want to have the amazing ability of advantage? And by the way, I'm only going to be talking about a 10th level build today, so I'm not going to go all the way up to the top with all these abilities. But look at Uncanny Dodge. You can have the attack's damage using your reaction. How good is that? You want these 5th level things. You don't want to just have 3 levels of rogue, but also you don't get a 4d6 sneak attack until 7th level. So if you're playing a level 10 character, you want 3 levels of fighter and 7 levels of rogue so that you're doing 4d6 damage. Now, you could make a dexterity paladin and you could use divine smite and really go over the top. but you are also consuming a resource when you do that. So I want to know, how much damage can we do without consuming a resource as a rogue, or consuming a resource that we have a lot of? Because if you are only taking 2 levels in Paladin, well, you are only able to do 2 divine smites per long rest. That is not very much. So then you got to go deep into Paladin, and then you're so deep into Paladin that you took extra attack, and now it's not a rogue anymore. You got 5 levels of fighter and 5 levels of Paladin and 1 level of rogue. You understand what I'm saying? You understand what I'm saying? I'm trying to make Swashbuckler good. I'm not trying to splash Swashbuckler on a Paladin build. I'm trying to optimize Swashbuckler. Well, how the heck am I going to do that? Well, first, I'm going to mess around with some spreadsheets. Spreadsheets. This is a very complex spreadsheet that I was messing around with. I'm leaving it on the screen for a second so you can screenshot it and look at it if you want to. But I tried every multi-class combo for Swashbuckler I could possibly think of to try to map out the damage. These are the highlights. These are the highest damage per round combos of things that I could make. First, I've got a benchmark at the top here. This is Hexblade 5. Notice none of the rogue builds beat Hexblade 5. Hexblade 5 is by far more damage. Why? It's because we've got Great Weapon Master and Polearm Master, and then we've got Eldritch Smite at level 5, which is a very strong ability. Let's see. Eldritch Smite. It's in our Eldritch invocations. Here we go. Eldritch Smite. So you get to multiply your 1d8 times all of the levels of your warlock spell slots. So the higher your warlock level, like if you're level 5, if you're a level 5 warlock, you're doing 4d8 force damage extra, and you can knock the target prone. That is super powerful. Hexblade is not overrated at all. Hexblade is, however, overused. And I don't want to play the same thing that everybody else is playing, that everybody else already knows is like the best thing in the whole world. But yes, you could play a Hexblade. You could take Great Weapon Master and Polearm Master so that you are firing off 1d10 plus 5 plus 10, bonus action 1d4 plus 5 plus 10, and then extra attack with Thirsting Blade 1d10 plus 5 plus 10. You can get your level 2 spell Darkness, and you can take the Eldritch Invocation Devil's Sight, and then you can constantly be hitting with advantage, and you can just absolutely destroy enemy you face. And you can make everyone in your party annoyed that you forced them to all take Blind Sight and Blind Fighter and Dark Vision and Dark Sight. The heck am I saying? Devil's Sight. You can make them annoyed that you forced them to do something all because of you. And you could play something that 1 million people are playing. This is a Quetzalcoatlus, by the way. I had no idea it was OP. I thought it was just cool, but turns out it's hella OP, dog. So yeah, you can play that. You can play Hexblade like that. It's a fantastic build, but it's gonna annoy your fellows, and I don't know. I want to do something a little bit more out of the box. But there it is as a benchmark. And you know what else is a benchmark for me is a level 5 or 6 Blade Singer with an upcast level 3 Shadow Blade with Booming Blade hitting, and then it's like dual wielder, doing the extra attack, doing a bonus action attack. That's a benchmark for me because those guys do a lot of damage. But look how much that damage pales in comparison to the Hexblade. And by the way, you see these two numbers here. The lower number is without Eldritch Smite added to it. It's just extra attack with your +10, your Great Weapon Master. And then the second one is with your Eldritch Smite added to it. You're probably asking, Jayk, what is this second line of stuff? This second line of stuff is Hexblade with a sharpshooter and crossbow expert shooting out of the darkness at things with advantage. I don't think that these Eldritch Smite numbers are correct, though. They are. If you make your crossbow, your hand crossbow, your pact weapon, which you can do as a Hexblade when they take Pact of the Blade, you can do that. If you make it your pact weapon, you can Eldritch Smite with your hand crossbows. Does that sound fair? You're shooting from 30 feet away, shooting out of darkness that nobody can see into. You've got advantage. You're doing +10 every single time with your sharpshooter feat, and you are doing this Eldritch Smite. It's outrageous, fellow human beings, fellow adventurers. It's outrageous, but you know what? It's a wonderful benchmark to look towards, to say, how could I possibly hit that? Now, I personally think that the Blade Singer with upcast Shadow Blade is rather overpowered. You just upcast Shadow Blade, put Booming Blade on it, and just cut through your enemies like butter. But it's like almost half of the Hexblade damage. Now, looking at combining Hexblade with Rogue, I found that the highest damage you can get is a Phantom Rogue with 1 level of Hexblade, so you can add Hex and Hexblade's Curse, and then you use Phantom Rogue. You shoot the person, and then you use Wails from the Grave to hit somebody else near them, and that added damage of hitting another enemy near it is what ticks that damage dial up even further. Now, something I want to avoid is the Hexblade dip, because everyone does the Hexblade dip. But how the heck do we avoid the Hexblade dip? When it gets us the Hex spell and Hexblade's Curse, and you can crit on a 19 or a 20. Think about it. You're a rogue. You want to crit so you can double your sneak attack die. So why would you not take the Hexblade dip? Because then you get the 19 or 20 crit. Well, for one thing, you can only do the Hexblade's Curse on somebody once. So you can't like Hexblade's Curse multiple enemies. Let's let's fact check what I'm saying here, all right? You get it back after your short rest, but you can only curse one person. You get a proficiency bonus added to your damage, which is great. Right? This is something I'm trying to talk myself into not doing, right? Because it adds your proficiency bonus to your damage. And it makes you crit on a 19 or 20, which again is fantastic for a rogue or a paladin who's divine smiting, or a warlock who's using divine smite and doing an extra 4d8 damage at level 5, even shooting with your crossbow. And then, of course, you gain some health back. But you know what? You can only use it once on one target per battle. So if that creature dies that you targeted, then you don't have that ability anymore. But you know what? If you like what I'm saying, take it. if you're not as insane about trying to do something that other people haven't heard of yet as I am, take it, take it. I mean, you're critting on a 19 or a 20. What other way is there to do that? Playing a champion fighter? That's horrible. And we're trying to figure out a rogue or a hexblade or a combo of something. You want to play a champion fighter and crit on a 19 or 20, you go ahead and do that, especially when you crit and you double your divine smite and your sneak attack damage. I just made your build for you, but I don't want to play that build. I don't want to do it. It's too easy. I want to play something that's harder, but then also optimize it. So back to the spreadsheet. So Phantom Rogue, hiding, shooting, adding Whales of the Grave, Whales of Death. Great. Strong. Actually the strongest damage. Now, here's an interesting piece right here. This says Enforcer with Pole Arm Master. What is Enforcer? Enforcer is a subclass from the Valda's Spire of Secrets that lets you sneak attack with a heavy weapon. You can sneak attack with a martial melee weapon. You cannot sneak attack with a martial melee weapon with any other subclass, which means you cannot use the Polearm Master and Great Weapon Master combo. However, this subclass doesn't really have any other interesting stuff, whereas Swashbuckler is super effing interesting. The only interesting thing about this Enforcer subclass from Valda's is that you can sneak attack with a heavy two-handed weapon and thereby indulge in the Polearm Master, Great Weapon Master, la-di-da blah-di poo-poo that you you want to do. But remember, if you want to do that, you must get advantage, and the best ways to get advantage are via that horrible combo of darkness and farkness, darkness and devil's sight, or via Find Familiar, or Samurai Fighter, or some other stuff. Or obviously you're just a rogue, so you're like bonus action hiding, sneaking, and then jumping out and stabbing or shooting. But you know what? DMs may vary, and DMs may not always give you advantage, and DMs may not let you hide from an enemy when you're standing right in front of that enemy. I tend to let my players do it because why the heck else are you playing a rogue? Like, let them effing hide in front, especially when you understand just how suboptimal the DPR of rogues are. By the way, I just spoiler alert for later in this video, the way to improve a rogue's DPR is proccing reaction attacks that let you sneak attack twice. But we're getting there. We're getting there. Don't get ahead of yourselves, all right? I want you to stay patient, stay comely. Yeah, that's right. Stay comely. I'm going to use old words. Stay comely and hirsute. All right, so back to the spreadsheet. What is optimization without a spreadsheet? Dungeons & Dragons is the only game where I can stay up all night looking at a spreadsheet and think that that is fun. And I do. It is F-U-N fun. So we've got Enforcer with Polearm Master. Now you notice that is near the Phantom with the Crossbow Expert. Now, what are these two numbers here? Why do I have two numbers again? The two numbers indicate if you manage to proc the reaction attack. So at this point, if you proc it every round, then you've got 80 damage for a while, and that is more than most of these things, except for our Hexblade benchmark. We're looking at level 9. It is less. It's fallen way behind, but it's still pretty good. So ask your dungeon master if they'll let you use Valda's Spire of Secrets and use the Enforcer. There's a huge amount of interesting stuff in Valda's Spire of Secrets. I love it. This video sponsored by Powerade Zero. Don't gain weight, but do gain energy. In any case, spreadsheet, Enforcer, Valda's Spire of Secrets is great. Now, we go back into the spreadsheet and we look at my most optimal combos for Swashbuckler. We've got Swashbuckler that's just a Swashbuckler. It's got Booming Blade. It's got Sneak Attack. It's got the Martial Adept feat to hopefully proc a reaction attack, which I'll explain in a little bit. It's got Fire Strike, which is a sucky feat, but it's got Fighting Initiate, Dueling at level 8 to try to slam it up there. Giant Strike, Fire Strike that adds a D10 to each hit a few times in a round. And then look at these numbers compared to the other numbers. They are abysmal. A straight level 5 Swashbuckler is abysmal DPR. Notice that the second number here is if you proc the reaction attack with the Martial Adept feat or the Fighting Initiate feat, Martial Adept. I will explain how you do that later, but check it out. It's still an abysmal number even compared to the Enforcer with Polearm Master. And you can only proc that attack once per short rest. Only once, right? This Polearm Master, Enforcer with Polearm Master, I guess that's one per short rest. I don't know. I don't know what the second thing is. Are you guys gonna forgive me or am I gonna go crazy? So in any case, you can only do this once per short rest, and it's still less than, even at level 9, it's less than the base damage with the Hexblade, who's using Great Weapon Master and Polearm Master and all of that. And before you tell me that Hexblade can't, you can. And by the way that this thing is growing in damage is by taking Thirsty Blade, yum yum yum, Eldritch Smite, and then we've got like Darkness and the da-da-da to get advantage. And then you've got the Cloak of Flies, which lets you add some extra damage to all your hits. And then you've got Superior something or other, and then Fire Giant Strike, and you've got Accursed this and Cloak of Flies that. Take a look at where are we? Where'd you go? Eldritch. There you are. All right, let's look at these things. Hey, I'm sorry this turned into a Hexblade video, but you know what? You got to give the people what they want. Take Cloak of Flies, right? And then you can scare people, but even more, you surround yourself with buzzing flies. You got 5 feet of flies, gives you advantage on charisma checks. Any other creature that starts its turn in the aura takes poison damage equal to your charisma modifier. Isn't that great? Oh yeah, and then the accursed thing was the accursed specter thing on the Hexblade. Accursed specter. You get a specter. These specters have insane stats. It says like the DM will have the specter's stats. The specter has insane stats. I'm telling you. Check it out. Check out the stats on this specter that you get command at 6th level if you take Hexblade. Why would you not play a Hexblade? Look at this thing. It hovers. It's got a speed of 50 feet. It's immune to a bunch of stuff. It's resistant to a million things. It's got, it can move through creatures and objects, and it reduces people's hit point maximum when it hits them. That's my favorite thing ever, is reducing people's hit point maximum. What an amazing thing. If you play Hexblade, you get an accursed specter. This is a planetar. It's not an accursed specter. It's a planetar. But in any case, welcome back to Breaking Buckler's Butler, where we're only interested in making Swashbuckler good, which at its base, it just is not. I'm telling you, you do the base Swashbuckler, you get nothing out of it. Now, what if you do 3 Swashbuckler, 2 Paladin, right? And then you've got Booming Blade, la la la, la la la. If you look, it's not actually that much of an improvement on the Enforcer with the Polearm Master. It's not even that much of an improvement on like regular Swashbuckler with it procced. The problem is, if you level up in Paladin, your sneak attack die stay low. And then if you level up in Rogue, your amount of times you can Divine Smite stay low. But it is cool. It is a cool build. Make a Dexterity Paladin and use sneak attack and Divine Smite at the same time. It's fun. Do it. But I've found that based on the statistics, it is just not the most optimal way to go. So how, fair listeners, do I make this optimal? How do I make it optimal? Well, we need to, instead of going for extra attack, we need to proc the reaction attack, and then we need to do the most damage possible on the reaction attack. So how do we get a second attack as a reaction? How do we attack once and do weapon damage, booming blade damage, sneak attack damage, other damage like hex and stuff, and then be done with the turn, and then go to the reaction and then hit them again with the weapon and the martial adept die and the sneak attack damage and any other extra stuff? You can't hit them with the cantrip, the booming blade cantrip on the extra attack, but you can hit them with a martial adept die or a superiority die. Now, what am I talking about? What am I talking about? I mean, are you looking at this Goth right now? Because this is a Goth. This is a dope Goth, and it will eat your player's magic items right off of them. This Goth will, why I keep saying Goth, right? See the word? It's a Goth. It's a Goth. It's gonna eat your player's magic items right up off of their bodies. But in any case, uh, we need to solve. We need to break Buckler. So let's go back to the spreadsheet one more time before I start getting into the nitty-gritty, the details, the reasons we're here. Now we're taking a look at this one that's level 3 fighter and level 2 swashbuckler, and then we keep leveling up the swashbuckler. Now, there's some of these where I leveled up the fighter, and then we gave him extra attack. But let's avoid that crap. Let's just do level 3 fighter, level 2 swashbuckler with procced reaction attack. This is what we get. 19 is super low, but 42 is better than the rest of the swashbucklers at level 5. And then 58 is better than most of the other ones. The only one that it's not beating is this Hexblade Phantom. But then at level 6, all of a sudden, we've got 25, 50, and 75. Now at level 6, it's competing with the glory of glories, the level 5 Hexblade with the Great Weapon Master and the Sharpshooter and all of that crap. Now, how is this doing this? How are these numbers continuing to get higher and higher? The first number is attacking by itself. The second number is when you proc the reaction attack. And then the third number is your Nova damage. It's where you trigger your action surge and then you attack again. So notice this is like 30, 60, 90 right here. That's because it's 1 attack, 2 attack, 3 attack. And by this level, it's up to 102.5. Not bad. Competing with the Hexblade. La 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 la. So I think what we're seeing here is that the base is 3 fighter and then rogue all the way. Or maybe we add in just a little dash of this and that and this and that in as we continue to level up. But I need to talk to you about why. Why are we doing 3 levels of fighter? Well, because action surge, wonderful. But most importantly is proccing the reaction attack. Now, how are we going to do that? Welcome back to another episode of Breaking Swashbuckler, where swashbucklers get broken and bucklers get broken, and we solve D&D in one fell swoop. So let me see. Fighter, Battlemaster Fighter. Here's the deal, y'all. Here's the reason we're taking 3 levels of fighter. Battlemaster Fighter, you get maneuvers. The maneuvers let you proc your reaction attack. Notice, you can do it 4 times per short rest. You should be able to proc 4 reaction attacks in a battle. You got 4 rounds of good reaction attacks off of this. And you can actually do it more than that. And I'll show you some other ways that you're going to do it more. But you can do it 4 times based on this. Let's check out the maneuvers. How does this work? Now, stop. I know some of you are telling me, hey, I could do the same thing by taking the Fighter Initiate feat or the Martial Adept feat. But the problem there is you only get 1 superiority die. You can only proc 1 reaction attack per short rest. Only 1 reaction attack per short rest? That's not optimal. That's not optimal. I don't want the Fighter Initiate feat. I don't want to only be able to do it once. I want to be able to do it 4 times. 4 times. And so therefore, we want level 3 of fighter, not to mention that it'll give us all the armor and weapons that we want. It'll give us action surge. It'll give us 3d10 of hit points instead of 3d8. You'll be a fighter a little bit. So anyway, what is proccing this reaction attack about the Martial Adept and the Battlemaster maneuvers? Let me show you Brace. And by the way, this is not an original idea. I did not make this up. The weird, stupid mix that I'm going to show you that I ultimately landed on to optimize a level 10 guy, that is mine. But, you know, other people have thought of this before, guys. So Brace. You are playing a swashbuckler, right? You have this built-in mobile feat. You run in and stab the person away, stab the person, and then you step back. Hopefully you stab them with advantage. You trigger your sneak attack. You do all the damage. You step back, and then somebody comes up to stab you. Well, guess what? You've got Brace. When a creature you see moves into the reach you have with the melee weapon you're wielding, you can use a reaction to expend 1 superiority die and make 1 attack against the creature using that weapon. If the attack hits, add the superiority die to the weapon's damage. So you go in, you hit them, they walk towards you, and you expend 1 of those die, and you do extra damage, and you do your sneak attack again as a reaction. All of a sudden, Rogue has extra attack. Also, riposte. If somebody tries to hit you with a melee attack, you can use your reaction and expend 1 superiority die to make a weapon attack against the creature. If you hit, you add the superiority die to the attack's damage roll. 2 different ways to proc your reaction attack and get your sneak attack twice. Now, why is this even better with this dude, Panache? If you ever get to level 9, which is level 11 with this particular multiclass suggestion, and it's actually level 13 with my weird 4-way multiclass that I'm advertising, At 9th level, you can roll a charisma check, and you can make a creature have disadvantage on attack rolls against targets other than you. And so then it will want to come and attack you. And if it does, you get to do those two different things. Now, what am I talking about? What does this look like in practice, right? What does this look like in practice? You've got your rapier that you are using Booming Blade with, and your dexterity modifier, because you know you're going to be using a dexterity of 20. And then you've got, let's say we're looking at 5 levels of rogue. So that's 3d6 as your doo-doo-doo. And then, there's extra stuff. I'm not going to add it right now. I'm going to show you this improved later. But you can see your first hit is your rapier plus booming blade. This is at level 5 booming blade. So it's got 1d8. It goes up to 2d8 at level 11. And then you've got your dexterity modifier, and then you've got your sneak attack. So on one hit, it's 24.5. But then you use brace or riposte, and then you hit them with your rapier. And then you add the 1d8 superiority dice that you got that you get to add to the damage with your riposte or brace. And then your dexterity mod, and then your sneak attack damage again, because you're a swashbuckler, so you have it, you automatically use sneak attack against somebody who's standing 5 feet away from you. And maybe you're, I don't know, you hit or something, or maybe you're using one of the other things that I'm talking about, and you got advantage some other way. Maybe you're stabbing at them in a fog cloud, and you've got the blind, you took the blind fighter fighting style, and you are walking around with a fog cloud, and you can see in the fog, and they can't, and you're attacking them with advantage. Anyway, that goes up to 49. This is easily doable at level 5, 49 damage. And just looking at the spreadsheet from before, that's better than most things. Now, is it better than just a fighter doing extra attack with a polearm master? Let's find out. 1d10 plus 5 plus 1d4 plus 5 plus 1d10 plus 5. Without Great Weapon Master, it's not. But when you add the 30 extra points from Great Weapon Master, it is a little bit better. So how do we get a little bit better so we can really drive our point home? How do we up the damage even further so that this rogue build can compete with that fighter benchmark that I just showed you? So let's say we're trying to beat 58.5. How are we going to do that? Well, let's remember the 58.5, and let's go back to the game we were playing before, which was 1d8 plus 1d8 plus 5 plus 3d6 plus proc the reaction attack, 1d8 plus 1d8 plus 5 plus 3d6. We're trying to beat 58.5. So how are we going to do that? Number one, we take the dueling fighting style. Now you could take the blind fighting style, and then you'd be able to always have advantage if you're in a fog cloud or darkness. But let's say you take the dueling fighting style. Now you've hit them twice, so you're adding 4, right? You're adding 2 for each hit. So you're adding 4. That's fine. You could take the Hexblade dip, which is going to get you your proficiency bonus added to your hit. I'm going to talk about another way to get that proficiency bonus added to your hits that isn't the Hexblade dip. But let's say you're adding your proficiency bonus to the hit twice. At level 5, your proficiency bonus is 3, so you're hitting them twice, so that's 6. At level 9, it's going to be 8 instead of 6. So we've got the dueling plus 2 for each hit. We've got the Hexblade dip or some other thing dip that gives you your proficiency bonus added to it, and that's plus 3 for each of the hits. Now, let's say if you dipped something that gives you hex, or you dip something that gets you hunter's mark or something like that, and you're concentrating on that while you're stabbing this thing, that's going to be 1d6 per hit. So with 2 hits, that's 2d6 more. So we've got the dueling feature, we've got the proficiency bonus added to the hit, and we've got the hex. Now, are we at 58.5 yet? Hey, we're at 66 and we're not even done yet. What if you took the Asimar race and you got at, or you took the Hippogriff race? The Hippogriff? Yeah, the GIF. What if you took the GIF race and you added Astral Spark to the hit? It's going higher and higher. Look at this. Asimar, Asimar, Asimar. I'm not swearing, so YouTube better not do this. Better not block my video because I said Asimar. Should I be saying Samar? You deal damage equal to your proficiency bonus each time you deal damage to it. If you take an Samar, you'd be doing that. If you take a GIF, you'd be doing you can be doing your proficiency bonus damage. So that's at least 2 different ways you can be doing your proficiency bonus. So that's another 6 for 3 hits, right? 2 hits that deal 3, or at level 9, 2 hits that deal 4. And all of a sudden, now you're up to 72. Now you're cooking with gas. I'm going to take a screenshot of that because that is beautiful. Now, what are these dips that get us these extra hits that aren't a Hexblade dip? And what are these ways of getting advantage that aren't blah, 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 blah? I'm still talking. You know what they are. You know what they are. I'm going to reveal them to you. I'm going to open up the doors and reveal them to you. How about a Wizard 1 dip? A Wizard 1 dip. How about a Wizard 1 dip? Oh, before I go into that, you could also consider the Bugbear race, right? So let's say you take a Wizard 2 dip and you take the War Magic. Watch this, watch this, watch this. So let's say you take a Wizard 2 dip, which I'm not going to do yet, but you could do just for fun. This is just for fun to tell you this. You take a Wizard 2 dip, you take the War Wizard, you can give yourself a bonus to your initiative rolls equal to your intelligence modifier. Well, guess what? From taking Swashbuckler, our old friend Swashbuckler, we get a bonus to our initiative rolls equal to our charisma modifier. So now we've got 2 different bonuses added to our initiative rolls. So we're going really early. You've got your dex mod added, plus your charisma mod added, plus your intelligence mod added. Unbelievable. Now, what if you take a bugbear? What if you take a bugbear, eh? And you've got your surprise attack. With your initiative that high, every single hit you make is going to deal an extra 2d6 damage to a creature that hasn't taken a turn yet in combat. Well, you got 3 bonuses to your initiative. Heaven forbid you cast Gift of Alacrity and it goes even higher, and now you're doing an extra 2d6 damage with every single hit in combat. And by the way, I don't think this is the combo for this multi-class, but when you are a bugbear with a high initiative and you're going first and you cast Scorching Ray, that is an extra 2d6 to every single one of those hits. Holy crap, what if you're a bugbear blade singer and you're casting Scorching Ray, or you got 2 levels of fighter and you cast Scorching Ray twice with Action Surge, and it's 6 things, each of them doing 4d6 damage. And what if your casting modifier is so high? And what if you have advantage and then you're doing 24d6 damage at level 5, guys? Level 5, 24d6 damage. Holy effing crap. 24d6 damage. But I'm getting carried away. We're not building a bugbear war mage. We're taking one level of wizard. And why are we taking 1 level of wizard? Well, why am I taking? Well, you can take 2 levels of wizard, so you get war mage or divination wizard, so you can use portent and just be like, oh, I rolled a crit this morning. I saw the future and I knew I was gonna roll a crit, and that's why I rolled a crit. But why am I taking 1 level of wizard? Why am I doing it? Find familiar. Every single time you stab somebody, you can have your familiar give you advantage by taking the help action on the enemy monster and pointing that help at you so that you get advantage on stabbing it. You have your familiar go first, or if your DM is being really crabby, you have your familiar ready the action to take the help action before your turn on the next turn. But either way, however your DM is going to do it, your familiar takes the help action, it gives you advantage, and then you go and your first hit has advantage. Now you can totally get advantage by taking Blind Fighter and having Fog Cloud around you, or being a Hexblade and having Devil's Sight and casting Darkness. You can totally get advantage by being a rogue and just hiding as a bonus action and then jumping out. But sometimes the person's standing right in front of you, and if you're a swashbuckler, you're gonna be able to get your sneak attack damage, but you want that advantage. And guess what's gonna give you that advantage? Your familiar. Your familiar is gonna, and guess what? If you take 1 level of wizard, you're also gonna get the shield spell. You're also gonna get the silvery barb spell. You're the most broken spell in the game. You're also gonna get the absorb element spell. You're also gonna get the fog cloud spell that could combo with that blind fighter spell, that fighting style that you took. You're also gonna get every single great thing about multi-classing into wizard, but most importantly, you're going to get find familiar, so you're always going to have that advantage unless your DM kills your familiar. But do you know how often your DM kills your familiar? Do you know how many DMs are just like familiar hunters? Like very few, very few. And if that DM is your DM, then you should totally just play a super hecka optimized Hexblade and annoy the living heck out of them. Because if they don't want to let your wizard have a familiar, F them. F them in the A. Am I right? All right. So I'm also you know what? At this point, I think I'm going to show you. No, I'm not going to do it yet. I'm not going to show you yet. I'm also going to take 1 level in Warlock. But you know what? Just to be different, I'm not going to take Hexblade. Now, what type of Warlock am I going to take 1 level in? Now, you could take 2 levels in Warlock so you get Eldritch Invocations. You could take 2 levels so you get Devil's Sight. But what if you take a level in Genie Warlock? Because if you take a level in Genie Warlock, you do get the Fog Cloud spell if you want it. So again, you can do that, whatever, whatever. You can hide in your little genie vessel and keep things in your genie vessel, and that's really cute. But look at this. Look at this. You can deal extra damage equal to your proficiency bonus, and it could be bludgeoning, thunder, fire, or cold. I chose cold because I love cold damage. Um, so if you take and notice this hound has no limit to it. Do you see any limitation to this ability? It does not say proficiency bonus times per long rest. So Hexblade lets you add this curse that gives you your proficiency bonus to every hit once per short rest. And if your target changes, you're effed. But if you take a Genie Warlock, you can do it every single time. And yes, the Aasimar and the Gif and other races of that sort do get to add their proficiency bonus times per long rest, which is nice extra bonus from their race, but also to get this ability that lets you do it every time. That's incredible. That's way better than Hexblade. Now, some of you may be arguing Hexblade, but you get to crit on a 19 or a 20. That's true. That's true. But only on one target once per short rest. And everybody and their mother is dipping Hexblade. And isn't a Genie Warlock a really cool story idea? I've got a fantastic story laid out right now for my level 10 character that is a level 3 Battle Master fighter, a level 5 rogue, and a 1 wizard and a 1 warlock. I've got a fantastic story that I'm going to tell you. But before I tell you that story, I just want to point out one other thing. If you want, you could take a different type of fighter. There are some cool fighters. Samurai fighter lets you use your bonus action to give yourself advantage. What works better than that for a rogue? But rogues do have steady aim. You can just stand still and use your bonus action to steady aim and then have advantage. So you don't necessarily need to take Samurai Fighter. And also, Samurai is 3 times only per long rest that you give yourself advantage, but you do give yourself advantage on all weapon rolls until the end of the current turn. And you give yourself THP. So that's fine. I don't think that that's better. There's also Champion Fighter, which gives you the ability to crit on a 19 or 20, and critting is really great. And there's also, it's really great when you're a rogue and you're doubling your damage die. It's really great when you're a paladin and you're doubling your divine smite. It's really great when you're a warlock and you're doubling your eldritch smite. Also interesting is the cavalier. This doesn't have any limit on it. When you hit a creature, you mark it. Uh, it has disadvantage on anybody that's not you, right? So this works well with this actually overlaps with the swashbuckler thing. Um, and if the person deals damage to anyone other than you, you can attack them as a bonus action on your next turn. So this sort of procs an extra sneak attack, but not really, because once you hit them with that bonus action, and you use your sneak attack, you won't be able to use your sneak attack again on your attack, but it is an extra attack that a rogue wouldn't get, right? If you're using a rapier and you take this cavalier and you mark someone and they hit someone other than you, then you can stab them as your bonus action and probably do all of your sneak attack stuff if you hit them, and then attack them again as an action. And probably on that action, you're gonna add your booming blade to that one. So that's nice. And then later you can proc your reaction. But how would you proc your reaction if you didn't take the Battle Master subclass? There are a couple other ways to proc that reaction attack. But again, I think that the Battle Master subclass is the way to do it. Interestingly, you also have advantage on the attack roll on that marked enemy. So, and your weapon does extra damage, but if you only took 3 levels of fighter, it's like one extra damage. But and you can only do this marking a number of times equal to your strength modifier, which you haven't been building since you're a rogue. But this is an interesting thought experiment that you could make it a cavalier, but I am pushing the Battle Master. Oh, I'm pushing it. That's the way to go. So let's say that you love my idea about proccing reaction attacks, but you're sick of playing Battle Master. The same way that I've been talking about how certain builds are just so mainstream. You're like, everybody and their mother plays Battle Master. I want to make a strength-based Cavalier 3 Rogue 5 work. Or I want to use that samurai attack because I don't want to use steady aim, because I want to use the mobility that's built into Swashbuckler to run in, bonus action, give myself advantage, but still be able to move, stab them, step back again. How else are you going to proc that reaction attack besides using this Battle Master stuff? Well, there are a couple ways, and they are feats. My number one favorite feat to proc your reaction attack is Sentinel. It gets you some extra benefits here, right? People disengage doesn't work for other people. You can still hit them, and you can stop people from moving when you stab them with an opportunity attack. But much more important, when the person next to you gets hit or attacked, you get a reaction attack out of it. So it would be cool to have this feat along with the Battle Master thing so that you get multiple different opportunities, multiple different use cases in which you can proc your reaction attack. That would be pretty great. What other feats are going to get you that ability? Well, my young friend, you've come to the right place because there is the Mage Slayer feat, which I still have never taken in a game, but I just think it's so cool. If you are roguing up on with your swashbuckler thing, right? With your swashbuckler, you're standing next to people. Maybe you stabbed somebody, right? Maybe you stabbed somebody and maybe you stabbed a wizard and you're about to hit them and they use their reaction to cast shield so that your stab is not going to hit them. But you're standing right next to them and your Mage Slayer feat went off, right? They cast a spell and then you get to use your reaction immediately to try to stab them again. How much fun is that? And then of course you also get to disrupt people's concentration and you get to have advantage on people casting spells against you, which if you're playing a swashbuckler and you're trying to be in melee as a rogue, then it's great to have advantage on saving throws against spells cast like Hold Person, which they're gonna cast on you when you're standing next to them. But anyway, between Mage Slayer and Sentinel, we've got two great other feats that can proc reaction attacks. So maybe you can play the Samurai Fighter, or maybe you can play the Cavalier Fighter because you just love the flavor. So there's one other cool feat that will give you the ability to proc your reaction attack, and that is Polearm Master. However, it doesn't work with sneak attack. So how are we gonna do that? Well, if you use the Enforcer build I showed you, you can use Polearm Master and Great Weapon Master with the Enforcer build, and you can get them to walk near you, and then creatures provoke an opportunity attack when they come within reach of you. So if you're playing the Enforcer, right, you actually get a free way of proccing your reaction attack by taking that Polearm Master. So Enforcer is pretty good. Don't write out Enforcer. Go use Valda's Spire of Secrets. It's great. Let's get wizards to call that thing official material. It's dope. I want to play a warlock in which my future self is my patron, or in which the DM is my patron. That's pretty cool. Well, I think it's time to show you. It's time to show you my builds. I mean, I do have to talk about races first. Species and races. All right, we're going to talk about races and then I'm going to show you my build. What are good races for this Fighter 3, Rogue 5, Wizard 1, Warlock 1 combo, or even just Fighter 3, Rogue 7? Well, Elf, if you're not going to take the Wizard dip, you got to take Elf, High Elf, because it gives you a cantrip from the Wizard spell list. It gives you Booming Blade. So you basically need to be an elf and get that. Speaking of which, if you take the Areni elf, you'll get something akin to an extra expertise along with the cantrip. Um, not super inspiring, but sometimes you got to take Mountain Dwarf for the stats or for the medium armor, and sometimes you got to take elf for the booming blade cantrip. But if you are going to take the one wizard, one love stat, then you don't need to worry about booming blade and you can choose other stuff. What else is good with this? Well, halfling is great because you get to re-roll ones and you're all lucky and brave and stuff. Half elf is great because you get 2 other skill proficiencies and you are playing a rogue that isn't necessarily about DPR. It's about flavor and skill monkey fun, and half elf has a number of extra reasons to use it. That's very fun, very fun. Aasimar has the built-in extra damage with its race, so that's pretty cool. Bugbear, if you're gonna do that wizard dip and the la la la, and you got the 3 different bonuses to your initiative, then that surprise attack suddenly becomes really, 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 really attractive. Fearbolg is interesting for a rogue because you can turn invisible as a bonus action a few times a day, and that's pretty cool. One of these 2 Githies gets shield built into their race, so that's a spell you could already know. Goblin overlaps with Rogue because they get to disengage as a bonus action, so why take that? Kobold is a fantastic way to get more advantage because proficiency bonus times per day, you can bonus action, point and yell at somebody, and then all your allies have advantage against that creature, and that includes you. So if you want a great way to get that advantage, play a kobold and use Draconic Cry. That will work fantasticarifically. You've got some other people, everybody loves Shadar Kai. Yes, and that reminds me, there are more than one reason to play Elf that I'll get to in a second. But Shadar Kai, they're teleporting all over the battlefield. They're having resistance to all damage when they get there. Pretty great. Tabaxi's pretty great for a rogue. You can use feline agility. You can climb up the wall and fight from the top of the ceiling. Pretty great for a rogue. Yuan Ti is casting suggestion once a day, even if you don't have the suggestion, if you don't have the spell casting stat, and they've got advantage against la la la, so that's pretty good. Lottie lottie blah blah. GIF has the extra damage that they add to it. I will never play Hadozi. You will see that. That's my gravestone will say I will never play Hadozi. Astral Elf is also teleporting around, and everyone loves that. And one thing that's nice with Astral Elf and Eladrin and Shadar Kai is that they get roving proficiencies, so you can give yourself proficiency in other stuff every time you meditate. Eladrin is also teleporting, and they do a cool effect after they teleport. I love playing Eladrin. Play an Eladrin right now. Go out and play Eladrin. Do it now. Warforged going to give you a +1 to your AC. Not bad, not bad. It's got extra skills too. That's also good for a rogue. I think those are my recommendations. But I was going to tell you a really important thing, a really important combo, and another reason to play Elf. High Elf with the cantrip, Shadar Kai with the teleport, to play Eladrin with the teleport, or Astral Elf with the teleport. I'm going to tell you the reason, the big secret that you stayed to the end of the video for, the reason we're all here, and that is Elven accuracy. Check it out. If this is a chimera, by the way, it's not an elven accuracy, it's a chimera. But if you, that's a chimera that's biting me and my wife's face. That's what happened. Roar, roar. So I've been telling you that you want advantage. You're a swashbuckler, you're standing next to a person, you use your familiar, you get advantage, you go to stab the person, and guess what? Because you're an elf, you took the elven accuracy feat, and that gives you super advantage. and you want super advantage. Now think about this. If you took that Enforcer build, right, with the Polearm Master and the Great Weapon Feat, and you're doing sneak attacks with heavy weapons, you want that Elven accuracy, because when you get that +10 to hit, you've got that +10 damage, you're getting a -5 to hit. So you want that Elven accuracy so that you make sure that you hit. You want Great Weapon Master, Polearm Master, and Elven accuracy. That's a lot of feats. So you got to find out how many feats are your DMs giving out. Are they giving out 8 feats like a spider, 2 feats like a humanoid? How many feats is on this things, you know? So Elven accuracy, we want it. We want it badly. We use our familiar to get advantage. We use Elven accuracy. We get a bigger chance to crit. So I would rather, I would rather use Elven accuracy to get a much higher chance of critting and doubling my sneak attack dice than take the Hexblade dip. But I still want the Warlock dip for that genie extra thing. And the spell Hex, you know, you get the extra genie thing, you get the spell Hex, you get your wizard dip, so you get advantage with your familiar. You could also take Fog Cloud and Blind Sight. You get the Elven accuracy, so that advantage turns into super advantage, and you live the high life. You proc your reaction attack, and you get 1,000,000 points of damage, and you live happily ever after because you're playing a rogue, and rogue has the best flavor in the game. You're an edgelord, you've got every skill, you've got a +13 to persuasion or lockpicking or something. You've got crazy skills, and you're super useful, and you're the only person who can sneak in and explore the dungeon and find the traps and all that other stuff. But now, because of this build, you have an insane damage per round, and you're playing the Swashbuckler, which not everybody plays, right? Not everybody plays the Swashbuckler, and Swashbuckler has this fantastic built-in mobile feat. It has the bonus to your initiative modifier, and it lets you sneak attack when you're standing next to somebody. And then in later levels, it lets you charm people out of battle and do a compelled dual effect while you're in battle. If you're taking War Wizard and Swashbuckler, you've got your dex, your intelligence, and your charisma added to your deal. That is pretty effing gosh darn great. Well, I know you're waiting for me to show you the build that I said I was going to show you. So let's do it. Let's dive right in to the build. Just showing you it as the end of the video is looking at my beautiful D&D Beyond screen. So I've got 2 builds here. One is a Rogue 7 Fighter 3, and the other one is a Rogue 5 Fighter 3, Warlock 1, Wizard 1. The one that I've been pushing this whole time. And these are both level 10 builds. You'll notice that the hit points are 1 point different. You notice that the stats are distributed slightly differently because we need the intelligence stat to be high so that we can multi-class into wizard, so that we can get the la la la. These are both half elves. I did this because I wanted the extra stats, +2 to dex and +1 each to 2 stats. On the Rogue 7 Fighter 3, we bumped the con, and we bumped the charisma. We basically did the same thing on the other one, but we moved it around. We moved that 13 from wisdom onto intelligence, and we bumped the intelligence. So this multi-class is fun. Both of them have great skills. Look how good these skill numbers are, right? On the 7 and 3, we've got Persuasion 11, Stealth 13, Deception 11, Acrobatics 9. We've got pretty much the same numbers over here. It looks like I decided to, I got slightly different numbers on some of these things, and that's fine. But the skills are insane. And when you hit level 6 in Rogue, you get another expertise if you want to, right? You're +9 to hit with the longbow or the rapier. I took the dueling fighting style, so the +7 is built into it. I made him a half elf so I could take elven accuracy. You'll see that all I took was the elven accuracy because for my starting feat, I think for my starting feat I took elven accuracy, and then when I hit level 4 in Rogue, um, I just did the ASI. And I haven't, even though I'm level 10, I haven't gotten any other ASI or feats because I'm a 3, a 1, and a 1 in the other classes. So I'm probably just going to keep going higher in Rogue because it increases my sneak attack damage. If you go higher in Fighter, you will get extra attack, and that does increase the amount of damage that you do. And everybody loves increased damage, but I'm trying to build a rogue, right? So I don't want more than 3 fighter. I want to be 10 rogue, 3 fighter, and dash of this and that. Now you can take the war wizard and get the extra bonus on the thing. You can take the warlock 2 and get your eldritch invocations. There are a lot of interesting eldritch invocations that fit with being a rogue, like the one that lets you cast disguise self at will. That's super cool. There's one that lets you read every language that you look at, you know? I mean, who wouldn't want to take these cool eldritch invocations? But at the end of the day, we want our dude to be a rogue. And the more you level up in Rogue, the more you get things like evasion, uncanny dodge, all of the Rogue hits. And because you took those 3 levels of fighter that allow you to use your reaction to hit people, your Rogue is actually standing toe to toe with a lot of the fighters on the battlefield. Holy crap, I can't believe I've been doing this for like an hour and a half. Can you believe how long this video is? I certainly can't. I didn't believe that I had enough energy in me to rant for this long. So just to wrap up, we'll take a quick look at these builds here. This fancy build here, we've got the longbow, the rapier. We've got go hide in a genie vessel. We've got the 4 times per short rest superiority dice that we can use to proc the reaction attack. And then we've also got spells, right? And my spell save DC is 15 and 14. Part of the reason that it's so high, notice that my initiative is +8, by the way, because I've got both my Dex mod and my Charisma mod added to it. And how is my armor class 19, you ask? Because I'm using a rapier and a shield, and then I'm wearing studded leather, and my Dex is 5. So that's 17 plus 2 is AC 19. That's not bad for a melee rogue, right? And then because I'm level 10, my proficiency bonuses are so high that my spell saves are perfectly fine. So what kind of spells did I take? Well, Booming Blade, and there's Green Flame Blade for attacking groups of enemies. What about Lightning Lure? What if I want to pull somebody over to me so I can stab them more? That seems like it's in line with this build. And then we've got Toll the Dead, just so we have that range cantrip, because it does 2d12 when somebody's missing their hit points. That's so much better than other stuff. Right. That's so much better than a crossbow. But it doesn't do sneak attack damage, so you do have to think about that. From my wizard spells, I've got Absorb Element, Find Familiar, Identify. Since my intelligence is low, I'm not going to be able to prepare a lot of spells, so why not take some rituals like Identify? Your party's going to love that you can identify all the magic loot that you find, and you don't have to prepare many spells. We've got Shield and Silvery Barbs, the game-breaking Silvery Barbs. And then we've got Veil of Dusk, which I've never cast before. I don't know where it comes from. Obviously, it comes from HCS, but it gives you a +1 to your armor class and gives you advantage on stealth checks. If you want to concentrate on that, I mean, I'm going to be concentrating on Hex that I got from the 1-level Warlock dip in Genie Warlock, right? I'm going to concentrate on Hex so I get that extra D6 of damage. What else is there to show you? You can use a longbow because you're a fighter. That's nice for a rogue. So you're shooting with a D8, you're doing damage. That's pleasant. Of course, you've got your fighter stuff. You've got your extra 2 points from dueling. You've got your second wind in case you want to heal yourself. You've got your action surge so that you can go 30, 60, 90 like I was showing you in the spreadsheet. And your life is a total joy. Your life is filled with joy. You've got dark vision. What else could you ask for? You know, what else could you ask for? I love this build, and I think it's more interesting than the Fighter 3 Rogue 7, even though the Fighter 3 Rogue 7 does have a higher sneak attack die. They finally hit a 4d6 sneak attack die with Rogue 7. I like the other one better because you don't get, the only spell you have here is Booming Blade. And the reason you have it is because you're an elf. That's the only spell you have. And I don't know about you, but I get bored playing 100% martial. I want to do things like identify magic items. I want to have an Arcana skill. Did I give this other dude Arcana? Yeah, he's got a +6 Arcana. Only got a +2 history, but he's got Arcana. He can think about magic. I don't want to play 100% martial build, do I? At some point, I'll show you my Wizard 5, Fighter 5, my Eldritch Knight, these builds. But I like having some spells. You know, you're not just taking one level of wizard so that you can have find familiar. You're taking one level of wizard so that you can live that life. You know, you want to live that life, bro. You want to live hard and live young. Am I right? You want to live old and live hard. Live dry and live in the desert. Yeah, so that's the build. And then I guess you're finally you're asking yourself, you know, what is this story? What is the story that this dude came up with? Like, how am I going to introduce a four-way multi-class at my table and have people not tell me that I'm being a min-maxer and they hate me and they think that people optimizing things is bad, and that I don't really understand the true nature of D&D, and that it's a group game and it's fun, and that optimizers have no place at our table. So get out of here with your four-way multi-class BS. What are you going to tell those people? Well, I've got a great story I'm cooking up for that character, which the game for that guy has not started yet. Here's the deal. He was a roguey type, you know. He was getting in trouble. He was stealing and fooling around. Um, but he was smart too, and people recognized his smarts, and they gave him a scholarship to a wizard school, like a magic school. They saw how smart he was, and he was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to turn my life around, and I'm going to go to Wizard College, and I'm going to become, you know, the mage of Pooptown. And so he shows up there, he's studying, he's doing his thing, he's going to his classes. And in this mage college, there are magic items, right? They have you studying magic items. The professor for the magic item class has his little office with the door open. And this guy who came from a background of thievery, he sees the friendly magic item instructors door open, and he sees this ring in there. This ring is calling to him. It's like this beautiful old like golden brass ring. It's kind of big and round at the top, and it's calling to him. And so he sneaks into the office and he touches the ring. And when he touches the ring, he's sucked inside of the ring into a realm where a genie is laughing, and he's in this big room where there's all of these people being treated as objects. He's got a naked person as a table, and a naked person as a chair, and a naked person as a chandelier. And he brings this guy in there and he says, you are going to serve me or I'm going to kill you now. And the guy, and he also, and I'll give you power if you do. And the guy's like, all right, so be it. And the genie's like, okay, cool. I collect people. You're gonna help me go, you're gonna go collect people for me. So the rogue guy is like, cool, I'm bonded to this ring. I must obey this genie or he kills me. And now I've got to help him collect people. So he agrees and he goes back outside the ring. The ring is now his. He steals the ring. Guess what? They find out he stole the ring. They find out he stole something from the wizard college. He gets kicked out of the wizard college and he's back on the streets. He starts stealing again. He returns to his old ways. But this time, when he doesn't like somebody, he sends them to the genie for the genie's person collection, and he becomes even more sort of bad than he was before, but at the same time he kind of thinks himself as a failure, a moral failure, a failed good person, and he's sort of looking for redemption, like something that could possibly make him feel better about himself, like make him feel like he felt for that one day when he was in the wizard college, when he thought that he had some kind of future as an intellectual. But no, he's stuck to this ring and he's got to collect naked people for this genie in this ring. So, he started as a rogue 3, then he went into wizard school and got a wizard 1, then he got the ring and he got oh, there's balloons, and he got warlock 1, and then he left and went back out on the street and he got 2 more levels of rogue, and that is the story of the unbelievable 4-way multi-class optimized swashbuckler. And with that in mind, I can officially report to you that we have broken Swashbuckler. We started out wanting to break Swashbuckler or Breck Butler. This is the only sign that actually says what it's supposed to say. This one says Bray Buckler. I'm sure you can tell by now that I made these in AI. Brahy bucking Swashbuckler. Yes, we Brahy bucked it. And that's it. We have broken Swashbuckler. Swashbuckler is broken. We have a story, a reason that he's like this. Look at this guy. Doesn't this guy look like he's now like bonded to this genie and breaking buckler and forced to do the genie's bidding? I think this guy looks more like he's enthralled to a genie and forced to desperation. But this guy's pretty cool, and obviously you can make up your own story. I think he's in desperate times, desperate measures, and what a great place to receive a quest and go out into the world and try to find redemption and try to stop hating yourself as a guy who just always thinks he can't be redeemed, but maybe there's that spark of goodness in him somewhere. Who knows? Find out on the next episode of Lo-Fi High Fantasy, and tune into my many campaigns of EleniaToth, in which I DM for people both in person and online. As well as now we're posting my One Shots Club, Eastside Heroes, and we're posting a game that I play in that was originally Wildemount. So I guess we're calling it Wildemount, but it's not Wildemount when it ends up at where it ends up. Watch EleniaToth A in person, EleniaToth B on Zoom. Why am I still talking? I don't really know. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Jayk Gallagher. Bye.